Yes, what's going on, guys? Here we are back, day after absolute disaster in the Champions League for Man City, of course, losing 3-2 at home to Real Madrid, collapsing again. Very unfortunate. But anyway, I'd like to take a more, I guess, forward-looking approach today and take a look and see what could happen in the summer. The summer is an exciting time. In January, we spend a ton of money. So I am doing my first of many keep or sell for our players that we've got. I'm doing this based on a tweet that I will pull up here in just a moment. It's from, what's this guy's name? Guillaume Balag. I might be wrong on that, but it seems like he, is in close with Pep or Pep's circle. And he put out this big, really long tweet talking a lot about Man City's season and how difficult it's been, et cetera, et cetera. But right at the end, it was interesting what they had to say. So I have it right here. He writes, if they finish in the top 24, this was before the Bruges game even, but I had it saved because I liked it and I wanted to do a video on it. So that's part it's irrelevant. Calendar is hugely demanding. Arsenal, Leyton Orient, Newcastle, Liverpool, Spurs, Forest. Let's see where we are after that. Of course, we haven't hit that point yet, but, again, we all know very difficult next month or so, 3 weeks of fixtures for us. Internally, ending top 4 this season would be considered almost as winning the 5th league in a row. Certainly, it will be celebrated with a massive party. And anyway, whatever happens, the plan already in motion is to get rid of 5 to 6 regulars and bring another 5 or 6 that have an immediate influence. So to me, I'd like to see who that 5 to 6 players is. So I have put together a small little thing here that is the Man City keep or sell board. So we have on the left-hand column star players. This is who we're building around. Next to that, we have squad players. These are players that we like to keep, but of course they're more rotational players. Third row, questions, meaning maybe we sell, maybe we keep. I'm uncertain at this point, and maybe the chat and people in the comments can help me on the questions versus squad players designations. And then the last column, definite sells, they gotta go. So I'll start at the back in goal. We have Scott Carson. Now, for me, he, of course, is not a star player, and he's not a question. If he wants to stay, he can stay. I don't think it makes, that big of a difference, to be honest. So Scott Carson, you're at the bottom of squad players. Then you get to Ortega and Ederson. This is probably where a lot of opinions change. But for me, personally for me, Ederson is still a player we build around. I would like him to stay. And with that being said, I would like Ortega out the door. I think he's a good backup, but I don't think he wants to be a backup at all and has any interest in doing that. So he can leave. What we could get him for, I don't know, maybe 25 million, maybe. Does that sound about right? I don't know why it looks like that, but probably just the font I've chosen. Let's go 25 million or so, maybe. It's a fair-ish price. I don't think, surely we can get more than 20, but I don't know if we get more than 30. So I'll just go in the middle there, 25 or so, around that part. And I think, I understand Ederson's had, some bozo moments, and he basically cost us this Real Madrid game. But for me, he's better than Ortega, and he's got to stay, in my opinion. He's our best ever keeper. He plays the Pep way, and I just think it's hard to replace. What if Ederson wants to leave? If Ederson wants to leave, I would move him to definitely sell, because, of course, I don't want to keep players here who don't want to be here. But in this presentation scenario, this is just what I would do. So I'll take out the, I guess, X factor of him wanting to leave, but that is possible. He'll probably want to go to Saudi if that offer comes back. And if that is the case, Ortega is not good enough to be number one, and I'd put them both as sells, and then find someone else like Diogo Costa or Chevalier in the French league. Those two are highly rated keepers in lower leagues that could be the ones for the future. I just don't think it's Ortega, unfortunately. So following that, we move on to defenders. Now, John Stones is first on the list. It's a really interesting one. I'm sure it'll be divided opinions because the guy is about as injury prone as you can find. And I was kind of leaning on let's get rid of Ake or Stones. But honestly, Ake and Stones were great yesterday. And maybe one of them has to go. So one of them can stay, and they're both good. They both have their merits, of course. So I mean, for me, I'm gonna keep Stones here as a star player we build around, and I'm gonna put Ake in this squad section for now. I don't know. That's a tough one. Because I like to keep both of them, to be honest. I know they're both injury prone, and it's crazy, but Ake might be our best one-on-one defender, and Stones just offers so much versatility when he's able to play. So I have a hard time selling them. That might change depending on how they do down the next couple months or so. If there's more injuries, of course, maybe it's time for them to move on. But for me, I'd rather keep these two, I think, than the next guy, who I'm going to throw in questions here, and that is Akanji. He's had some bozo moments. I just think he's not quite as good as the other center backs we've got. And it's unfortunate because I like Akanji, of course. I like him. But I don't know. He's just not as good, in my opinion. Ruben Diaz, he is obviously star player. Going to keep him as long as he wants to stay here. The guy's mega. He should be our captain. He's the one for sure. Leader at the back. Josko, of course, is star player. Going to have to stay. There's no doubt in my mind about that. He can be here for 10 years if we want. Next, Rico Lewis. I'm going to throw him in questions. I'm not sure on Rico Lewis. He might be a sell, to be honest. Because it is one of those academy players where that sale is pure profit, and it's really, really helpful on the books. So I don't know, but he's definitely not in a definite sell, but he's under the questions for me. Elsewhere, we have Kusanov and Vitor Rice, who I think are both squad level players, and hopefully they are able to stay around for a while, and maybe one of them turns into a star level player one day. We're just not there quite yet, of course. They're obviously very new, and I'm not going to rate them yet or anything like that. Moving on to the midfield, we start off with another one I'm not sure of because you have KDB. I go back and forth. I'm kind of a flip-flopper in that sense with KDB. It's really hard for me to want to sell the guy when he's been here for so long and he's been such a legend and, for my opinion, our best ever player. So I don't know what I would personally do, but based on what I've seen this season, I just don't think he's going to improve much more. I think he's not going to get fitter. He's not going to get more athletic and be able to run more. I just think he's going to slowly, continually decline, which is sad, but I think if we're clearing out 5 or 6 players like that tweet says, I think it's sad, but Kev, I'm sorry, I have shifted you to the sell, and that is, of course, a 0 on how much we're getting because he'd be leaving on a free. All right. Gundogan, same deal. I mean, sorry, bro, but you don't have it anymore. We should not have brought you back. You're well gone. I don't think there needs to be much of a discussion there. Kovacic, he is a good squad player in my opinion. Would I want to keep him there as a squad player or refresh things for? Yeah, sell Kev before it turns toxic. It's a good point. You would hate to see what happened to Walker happen to Kev, and I think people are smart enough to not do that to him with what he's done for the club and what he means to the club. But fans are fickle, man. They just you never know, and I would be devastated to see KDB gets that kind of treatment. Like it would kill me. So yeah, like I was saying, I think Kovacic, it moves into this area here, this question, and I'm not sure. But again, I mean, we need kind of a pretty big clear out. So by the end of this, I might move him to sell. I'm not quite sure yet on him. Then you have Rodri, who is star player, Ballon d'Or, best player in the world. Build around him as long as he wants to be here. Another 5-6 years of Rodri would be great. Not much needs to be said there. James McAtee, sorry, bro, but I haven't seen it from you. I don't know what we can get value-wise for McAtee. Maybe 20 million, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, I haven't seen it. You have not had a ton of chances. I fully, go along with that fact that you have not had a ton of chances. But with the chances you have had, I haven't seen it. You've had one nice moment against Leicester where, you created a goal and you dribbled past someone. But other than that, I don't know what you really offer to the team. I'm not sure you're good enough to play at City. You're a Premier League player, I'm sure, but you're maybe, bottom half of the Premier League, middle of the pack, not quite fighting for titles level player. And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. I think here as well, unfortunate, but true, Bernardo, you're probably one of the big name players to go in my list here. I know Pep loves you to death and basically will ham you out until you can no longer run or walk. But I don't know what you offer other than I understand you give maximum effort and I love the effort, but I need some output from midfield. We need physical presences, and I don't think that he has that anymore. He's never been a great G&A guy in general. So for me, Bernardo is one of the big names that heads out the door, as disappointing and sad as that is. I think you could get not much for him, probably. Maybe 20, 25. The guy's 30 years old. Maybe even less, maybe 20. I don't know. I'm not sure you would get a ton for Bernardo. Maybe that's wild and I'm way off, but just in my head, that's what I'm going with. Mateus Nunes, another interesting midfielder. I am uncertain on where to put him because he's been okay, I would say, at right back, and he's been okay on the wing when he's played there, but he's a midfielder. We bought him to play midfield, and basically under no circumstance does he play midfield. So it seems like a horrible, awful transfer, and maybe we just sell and get what we can while he still has some value. Maybe the next couple months will change my mind, but I'd probably rather have Kovacic than Nunes in my mind. So I'm going to put Nunes in the sell category, and I don't know what we paid for him. 55. There ain't no way you're getting 55. Maybe you get 35, 40 for him. I'm trying to underestimate a little bit as well, so I don't, way overestimate at the end how much money we get. But that's my initial guess, I guess. Then you have Nico Gonzalez, who, of course, squad player, and Echeverri, who I hope is a squad player, if I could spell his name right. Echeverri. Seen a lot of people gassing this guy on Twitter about his performance in this Argentinian South American Cup thing that I haven't seen any of, but I've seen his clips, and I'm all for it. I'd love to see the guy play. I don't want another Maximo Perrone situation where he gets 10 minutes one random game in the Premier League and then we never see him again. I want Echeverri to get minutes. Absolutely no doubt about it. Will that happen? Probably not, but, what can I say? I'm not the manager. All right, now we're on to forwards, last part of the list here before we finalize everything. Jack Grealish, we start with him. Before the weekend, I would have basically had Grealish as definite sell number one option, but he did play against Leyton Orient. He was pretty good. He played against Real Madrid, was pretty good until he got hurt. Seems like this injury lack of form is pretty consistent for him, so I'm probably leaning towards still like you're out, dude. And that's unfortunate, but I don't know. Depends on this injury here. Maybe he comes back and it's not a big injury and he starts balling again and it's really good and someone we can build around as a squad player. But for now, I think he's going to have some value. He's English, so that bumps his value a bit if we're selling to a Premier League team. I think he'd be really good at maybe Spurs. I think he would love to go back to Villa maybe. I don't know. It seems like he's still got some left to give in terms of a Premier League player. Like, he's not trash, but is he going to help us win a title? Again, I don't know. So I'd probably look at selling, and maybe you get 45 for Grealish, maybe. I know we paid 100 for him, but that was years ago, and you're able to write that off as depreciation, so it wouldn't be all that bad of a sale, in all honesty. Next up, Haaland, of course, absolutely keep. Star player, 10-year contract, no discussion needs to be had whatsoever there. Following him, you have Phil Foden, another star player, homegrown, here for the long haul. I hope he never plays for another club in his life. He's a Mancunian, born and bred. So hopefully we can keep him as long as he is able to play. Next up, Omar Marmoush. I think another fair one to put in squad players. Hopefully he turns into that star, but it's only been a couple games. Haven't seen enough film or game time yet to have any idea, but I hope one day we can slide him over to this, star level player. Doku is next on the list. It's a tough one because for me, if you've watched my channel much, I'm not a big Doku guy. I think Doku goes in this questions section because he has not been amazing. He's not been poor. He just has only played like half the time. You can look it up yourselves, but I did it for you. He has yet to play back-to-back full 90s. He's not done it once at City. He's either missed the game completely or subbed off in one of the two games. Not once has he played back-to-back full 90s, which is insane. He has been here for a year and a half plus. We're in February, so 19 months-ish of football, and yet to happen is back-to-back full games for the guy. He's one of those muscular players that, relies on that quick twitch ability, and he just gets injury after injury, it seems, and he's out for multiple weeks at a time, and he frustrates me, and I'm sure he frustrates a lot of fans. So I'm going questions here. Maybe if we get a good offer, we sell and we get somebody who can actually play consistently. Next, Oscar Bob. I think you are squarely in the squad players category here, and you definitely could move over to star at some point. He's played, I think, less than 1,000 minutes for City, so it's pretty unfair to put him in star player form at the moment. He's just been so unfortunate with the injury after coming off such a good preseason where he was by far our best player this preseason. And I know people will be like, "Oh, Brian, it's just preseason. It doesn't matter." I know it doesn't really matter, but like you would rather be the best player in preseason than not. So it matters a bit. It matters a little bit. And he was balling this summer. So I think he definitely 1,000% has the ability to lock down right wing or lock down an attacking midfield role at some point. He's only like 20 years old. He has so much talent, and I think he will get in the team, be able to stay healthy, and lock down a starting spot pretty quickly. And then the last player I have on my list is Savinho, who I think it's fair to say is either going to be in this star player eventually, or squad player. I mean, I really like Savinho. He's been really good for us this year. He had a bit of a slow start, but I'm going to put him in squad for now. And I'll just Scott Carson, you can go. Maybe you'll retire. I don't know. But Savinho definitely in the team a lot going forward. I mean, there were links in this January with Real Madrid wanting to buy him because he's that good. But Savinho will lock down a wing position, or at least most of the games he'll start or come off the bench. I think he's very good and is one to definitely have in the team a lot going forward. So that is all the players we have so far. This selling is of them that are starters. I would say KDB, Bernardo, Nunez, Grealish. I got 4 definite sells. And then the tweet that I was looking at, they referenced up to 6. So I mean that could be one of these guys or 2 of these guys here. I cannot see anyone except for maybe Ake being sold here in this side, and maybe Stones gets injured again or Ake gets injured again, and my mind changes a bit over the next couple of months. But this is what I've got for now, and what I'm kind of thinking. So, what does this raise, by the way, in terms of cash that we can spend? I mean, it's not that much, but let's go with 80, 100, 120, 150-ish million in sales here. Plus, you get off KDB's wages, which opens up a huge, salary chunk for you. The guy's on, I think, $400,000 a week. So, I know we're not selling him for anything, but you do free up the wage, which is, another factor that needs to be taken into consideration. So players that you would need to replace, you'd be looking at a backup goalie, which is, I would imagine, some young up-and-coming player. I don't know if the academy has someone who can be our backup, but most likely I'd rather buy someone to be the backup. I know it's hard to buy backups, but surely you could buy a backup goalie who's good with his feet. We found Ortega on a free. Like surely there's someone out there. And then we would be replacing Bernardo, Nunez, Gundo, KDB. That's 4 midfielders. So I don't know who that would be. Ideally, you're getting somebody like Wirtz or Musiala. I don't know how much you're spending to do that. It's going to be a ton, but that's what I'd be looking at there. Then you need to buy someone else to play next to him. That's an 8. I know people love Bruno G, but now that we have Nico, I'm not sure that happens. But there would need to be massive money spent on the midfield in this scenario. And then Grealish is out the door. Maybe you replace him with a young winger because you do have pretty good talent in this winger area. So that's what it looks like for me. That's my initial prediction, or what I would do. Not my prediction. That's what I would do personally. So I appreciate anybody who stuck around. We're about 30 minutes into it or so. So yeah, it was a good discussion. I appreciate it. Like I said, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Do you approve? Do you disagree? Am I full of crap? Or am I right? Let me know. Let me a like and sub. I do appreciate any new subs. We're almost at 50 subs now on the channel, which is pretty cool. I will be back probably tomorrow, looking forward to the weekend, looking at the Newcastle game, and see if we have a chance. Because I know spirits are down, but City always have a chance. When we got Holland and we got players like Diaz, Josko, I think there's always a chance that something positive can happen. Big Jam Boy says he agrees with all of them. So appreciate it, Big Jam Boy. Anyway, that is all for today.